We do not own the rights to anything or any music that's heard during the duration of this podcast. Also, a lot of these shows will have explicit content. So if you are not a fan of any cursing or profanity, you may want to walk away, but that does not mean that every show will consist of such.
Another year has completed, meaning that a new season begins when a new year begins. Welcome to season 9. I know we've been back and forth on what we'll be talking about, but I will be real with you. Sports, music, tech, productivity. You will likely get a lot of guests or appearances. Hey, you might even hear me get questioned about some things. But I want you all to tune in because there's definitely a lot to talk about. And this journey has been heavy, to say the least. Welcome to a new season of The Past with your host, BT. 5 days into 2025, and I thought it would be fitting to, since I have the microphone already set up and I found like a little bit of a workaround to make some things work, thought I'd go ahead and do a show real quick. So, welcome to season 9 of The Past. I sometimes still question or still wonder what has been keeping me with doing this recording and keeping these mics, but it's something there, and it's beginning to marinate and beginning to come full circle, and I'm being more receptive and more obedient to that. As always, I'm your host, BT. For anyone who is a new listener or anyone that's just tuning in, welcome aboard. I truly hope to provide you with some form of information. I don't. Now, let me be clear with what I'm about to say. I'm not going to personally recommend this, but if you choose to do it, that is rightfully on you. But if you want to go back and get some good shows or get some good content, definitely check out previous episodes. Something might be there for you. You just might not know it. And I'm going to just leave it at that. But I wanted to get on here and kind of talk about a few things and bring you up to speed on where life has taken me and what's been new within only a couple of days ago. But uh, on a lighter note, I want to just take time and really say thank you. And anyone who knows this knows that, or that knows me when it comes to podcasts and knows I'm very specific, very sensitive about what I do and how I do it and doing it at a high level and like all of those things. It's stuff that I have grown to become attached to in this journey of recording. I stop in a silent moment because I'm just thinking about the fact that for the longest time, and I'm gonna get into this today because it was gifted to me, so I'm gonna gift it to y'all. For a while, I've been really sitting and figuring out what I'm supposed to be doing. What's my purpose? What's my plan? What's my intentions? The whole nine. We've all been there, of course. These last few days, it's starting to resonate and it's starting to hit closer to home. I have probably had a tech bag for a long time. And when I say a tech bag, I'm talking about the ability and the knowledge to understand and speak technology in a way that others would love to understand and figure out why it has such a staple on my day to day. I may be jumping the gun a little bit talking about this because I don't know if the kids will be. I think from what I gathered from a friend of mine, some of the kids will be out tomorrow for school, so I'm gonna try to record and upload this one. And this might be a quick turnaround, so you gonna catch how you catch. But I can openly stand behind the fact that thinking about technology and what's getting ready to start with these with the phones and the disconnecting of phones and not having the phones in the classrooms, you are going to see a very wide variety of transitions occur. And as someone who has been on both sides of the tech spectrum in this regard, for some strange reason, I'm not as surprised or bothered by it. And I think the reason why is because this isn't anything new. And I know for a lot of people, it's like, oh my gosh, like, what do we do? How do we function? And for some people, it's like, how did you function before you had it? If something has been implemented or integrated in the routine, it's just being part of the routine, that's all you know. But what do you do when you remove that thing and what can you put in place of that thing? Um, I've probably shared this on an episode or two, but I've been so eager to hide behind it that I just haven't wanted to face like this is who I am and this is what I need to be or what I need to do. And that is be a tech creative. I've pretty much found tech to be home, right? So like technology is going to be technology. A lot of us love it, a lot of us hate it. I've probably been one that has embraced it in a way that others are like, I don't see how you're so attached to something that is so chaotic. But everything comes down to discipline and intention. If you've listened to the 2024 year in review, unplugging, being intentional, learning, like putting the phone down, picking up the book, picking up a craft, picking up a skill. As many of y'all hear me talk about all the time, writing is essential. Like this morning, just to give you kind of like anonymous context, but just realistic truth. Got up this morning, struggled a little bit, wasn't really sure. I'm like, oh, I'm gonna get up and move, do whatever. Didn't really get going like I wanted to, but eventually got up and got to it. I had 3 newsletters to write because if you listen to the end of the year in review or at some point during the year in review, I talked about splitting my newsletters into 3 separate newsletters. And I wasn't sure how that would go. I had no type of a guidance on what that would look like. But I got 3 different newsletters going. One, all of them kind of was in a simple manner, they were a workaround for, okay, we're gonna use this week as not necessarily a bye week, but as an opportunity to do a PSA. Just announce like, hey, this is what's gonna happen with these newsletters. Because if you've been following them, I was taking I don't want to say the lazy approach, but I was taking the simple approach of, okay, we're gonna write on one platform, edit it, modify it as necessary, and then use that one for all 3. And to some degree, that's fine, that's great, that's cool, that's awesome, whatever. However, the reality is I wanted to really make each newsletter or each blog have its own unique flow. And one thing that I have began to grow strong to and pay attention to is I'm not going to put myself in a position to force where it's not necessary to force. And why I'm saying that is because sometimes we will work on stuff or we'll find ourselves like, oh, I'm going to put time into this. I'm going to devote effort towards said thing, but we're not putting the effort to it that it deserves. And personally, I'm one to say now, I've realized that I have to put effort behind talking about tech, talking about sports. I shared it a little bit in the year review, but it's something that I'm really wanting to hold close to. Learning and getting more accustomed with. I'm not sitting here saying that I need to know and understand the ins and outs of gambling, but I also want to talk to people about which, when is a good time to take this team or what, hey, these injuries might play a part into picking for or against said team. So things like that, I'm really starting to gain more attention and more attraction towards. And that's, at the end of the day, that sometimes you just need that to be what it is and let it rock the way it's intended to rock. So right now, any of you all who've been true listeners or listened to who have been rocking with the show for quite some time, you will be well aware that one of my go-tos and one of my big conversations is traditionally sports. And I'm not going to give a whole long drawn out speech related to sports, but what I will say is that we are in the most in football terms, we're in the most wonderful time of the year, and that is playoffs. A lot of teams have secured seeds. Some are still fighting for their spot. Right now, the Miami game. Let me double check. As of right now, Miami is down 18-6 against the Jets. Shocking, but not shocking. And if the Dolphins lose, Cincinnati would get in. Right now for the AFC, you have, well, actually it's a little interesting because I didn't even think about this. Miami would have had to win. It's because it's gonna be an odd number in breaking it down. Yes, because Cincinnati won their game, and then I think Denver. If Denver wins, they'll be 10-7. So actually, Denver would get in. So to backtrack a little bit, Kansas City secured, the Chiefs secured, Houston secured, Baltimore and Pittsburgh secured. They made a joke with Pittsburgh because I think Pittsburgh was like 10-3 or 10-2, and then lost 5 straight. And now it was like, and even with them going through the wins and the losses they had a chance to actually win the division. But even with even with another game added, somehow they've now, like, Tomlin was like, you know what? I'm gonna hit this 10 game peak point. I got my 10 wins. I'm good. I'm gonna be secure for another season. And that's pretty much what I think happens with him as far as a coach. But I could be wrong. I'm not. I may do this later, or I may do like an added segment where I talk about like who, because I want to wait until everyone's, like, all the seeds are secured and then pick playoff games. But I don't want to pick anything right now. So right now, the 3 teams that are fighting for the last AFC spot wild card would be Denver, Cincinnati, Miami. Miami's losing. Miami's probably going to be out. Cincy already won earlier, but Cincinnati would like to see Denver lose so they can get in. But the way the game looking right now, I think Denver was up 31-0. Kansas City is not playing their starters, rightfully so. So with that being the case, strong possibilities that Denver's going to get in and Cincinnati's going home. Early hot take, and this was talked about in my sports group, A Space to Sport, which announcement, but kind of I wish I could have done it different. We have officially made the group to be searchable online on Facebook. I don't know if I want to do this yet, but I may be looking to see into expanding it away from Facebook to still be on Facebook as the main source, but have other platforms to talk sports and to expand that palette. We'll see. I also don't want to overbear or overburden myself with trying to do more than necessary. I'm really trying to keep it simple. And I know any of my friends who know me, especially my boy Jarrell, he's been on the show, Nashawn, he's been on actually twice. And I'm really trying to, like, make this thing, like, we've been keeping the group going for quite some time, but I really want to catapult it to another level. So we'll see how we're working on that. But Facebook, this is random but relevant. If you create a group on Facebook, if your group becomes private, you no longer can change it to become public. probably one of the most interesting things that I learned, but it's still the most frustrating thing to learn that is a feature. But hey, not my business, not my lane. I've talked about that for quite some time. Didn't get into the NFC, but the NFC, everything's unimportant. Carolina won today. No, I'm just kidding. Random but funny story. So we had our men's ministry today, and we finished up the men's ministry. We got into a really good topic, and at the end, my boy, we were outside talking. He said, "Hey, I got something for you," and I'm like, "All right, cool." And I don't know if he just knew or if it was just obvious because I've been pretty much like I've been on the black hat tear for like a while. So any of you who know, if you know me personally, I'm usually gonna wear a hoodie and a black skull cap. That's usually what I'm gonna wear when it's cold. Well, I've been wearing them for a minute, and normally I would have like, okay, it's football season, or just have one in general. I will put like the Carolina Scully on. And so my boy got me this nice Carolina Scully. He's like, "You got this one?" I was like, "No, actually, I don't." I said, realistically, the last one I don't even know where that one is, but I had a really thick, nice Carolina Scully that I was wearing for quite some time. Somehow the thread on it had popped where if you wear it, normally like the brim is supposed to just stay, but it would open and do whatever. So I was like, I'm not gonna really. I mean, I got it, but I couldn't tell you where it is right this minute. So having that one and it's nice and warm, it feels good, and it was just like a good feeling to come home and see Carolina win today in overtime. We played Atlanta, that knocked them out from when they actually knocked them out from winning the division. Tampa Bay won today. So Tampa Bay won the division. I tell y'all this all the time. We have one of the most bipolar divisions, no pun intended. I think the NFC, everything is all locked up. So the Rams, their lead, they won their division, oddly enough. That's how bad. Like their division was little bit of a battle this year, but for good reason. The Rams are 10-6, so they're in. Tampa Bay won the NFC South, they're in. Then for the NFC North, you have Detroit and Minnesota both going 14-2. Huge, huge props on that one. And Philadelphia and Washington round out the NFC. I think Philly would be third. If I'm looking at this right, Philly would be third on the division. I don't know if they do it based on division because I think they still are going to be put in as a wild card team. Washington.
Let's take a quick break.
I know a lot of you are preparing for the new year, new me thing. And I would say you don't have to plan on January 1st. You can plan on March 5th. You can plan whenever you like. And that's where this sponsor comes in. 5 years ago, I got introduced to bullet journaling, or I was interested in learning about bullet journaling. Ryder Carroll created a planning method where you're in control of how you plan. And with the bullet journal, it's a simple format or a simple flow. You have a book, it is a dotted grid notebook, and you can plan or write out however you would like to do your planning. I have found and have accepted that I am a rapid log planner, meaning that I pretty much write out my plan, whatever the day is and the date, and then the things that I'm doing on that day. And did I do them or did I not do them? And I found that to work for quite some time. I did get a little fancy at one time and really get in depth with planning, but over time, I eventually went to what's today's date? What am I doing today? Or what have I done today? I usually use it in a simpler manner of once I've completed things for my day that I know I need to do, then I use it accordingly, connecting it to my digital calendar, aka Google Calendar. If you're interested in joining the Bullet Journal or Bujo community, have a 10% promo code for their notebook. They'll usually bring out a new color each year. This year I went with the yellow slash, I guess you can call it the bumblebee look to some degree. Normally, anytime I get one of their bullet journal notebooks, I'm always getting the black or the blue or something that's a dark color. So this year to go with something a little brighter was different, but bullet journaling changed the landscape for me planning and preparing. And the best part about it is you can create your planning to your style and to what works for you. Again, I've done this for nearly, if not 5 years, and it hasn't been broken, so I haven't had to fix anything with using it. So check them out, bulletjournal.com. Use my promo code Bryan Bujo, get 10% off. Yeah, actually, you know what? I'm tripping because Detroit and Minnesota play tonight. Whoever wins tonight wins the division. But both teams are in for that division. So one of them will win the division. So yeah, that's everything we got with football and what's been going on in that world. NBA, I'm gonna give you a real simple breakdown, and it's gonna be real simple because it still, as a fan, it still baffles me to see it, but I'm not ungrateful to see it. And that is that somehow uh two teams that you would not, well, one team you would have expected, the other one I don't think anybody had by a long shot, and that is the Rockets are in the upper epsilon of the West, and on the East, Cleveland is doing nothing but worthwhile work and getting to it. Getting ready to pull up the standings. We're not far away from our favorite time of the year, aka trade deadline. A lot of conversations are coming up related to who's doing what, who's going where. Uh, the hottest commodity and the hottest conversation that's been put out there is the infamous Jimmy Butler. Jimmy wants out, plain and simple. Jimmy is ready to go. Jimmy has not. I don't think this is really a conversation, but this is a conversation. The Heat have a very interesting culture, and it's a bit of a complacent culture when there's no winning. When there's winning and things look like they're going good, there's not much that's being talked about. I don't remember. I think it was a few guys who talk basketball on YouTube. They were talking, and they were saying that, he's ran off a lot of guys. Like, he's ran off Shaq, he ran off LeBron, he's running off Jimmy Butler, and he being Pat Riley. And I'll be real, like, a lot of teams in the NBA still run on a bit of an antiquated culture, which, if that works for you, that's fine. But the only problem is you're doing good on getting your money and your income to move, but then getting wins and getting that incentive for the players who are there is really what it's about. Like, I've talked about this when I was really deep. I mean, and I'm back deep into sports again, but I'm really about to get back into it more in depth. But it's the reality of the beast is the at least from the NBA and the NFL, multi-billion-dollar business. Multi-billion-dollar business. Like, if you think about the salaries that you pay out for your players, and then you think about the facilities that these teams have, not even gonna get into college football. I'm not taking anything away from college basketball, let me be clear. But college football, $700 million facilities, like $500 million. Like, these schools get the facilities they need to get the players that they need to come to that school to play. There's a reason why Ohio State and Michigan, the Alabamas, the Texases, the Oklahomas, the the North Carolinas, the Virginia Techs, the list goes on. Like those schools are going to build to win or build to maintain the reputation they need to be where they are. So I want you to keep that in mind, just with how and where things have operated. It's been a minute, but I'm gonna update because I'm a little behind since I hadn't been talking sports for a while. The Emirates Cup had already happened. If I remember correctly, who won the championship? I think the championship was won by Milwaukee. If I remember right, I think Milwaukee won the championship. I know they played. I want to say they played New York in the conference. I mean, in the finals of it, and then it was Houston and Oklahoma City. But when it came down to it, um, Milwaukee was the better team, and they went on to win the Emirates Cup. I talked about this earlier. You would think I was saying this to be funny, and it's even more shocking. Right now, if the playoffs were to start today, Oklahoma would be 1, Houston would be 2. I want y'all to sit with that for a second. Like, Houston has not really been on the map for really getting there and doing the thing since Harden was there. And you think of it, you think in that time frame, Harden, and since he left, Harden's played for 3 teams. And we've been rebuilding and battling to get back to that, like, I don't want to say elite level because that's a bit of a reach, but getting back to that, like, good basketball level in sports. Continuing with the West, Memphis is 3rd. I think John Jaren are like a really undervalued 1-2 combination in the league. Not really talked about a lot. 4 is Denver. I'm going to say something, and it's a bit of a hot take, but it might be a reach to say. I would not be surprised if we see a Jackson Joker combination again. And what I mean by that is, in the NFL, Lamar Jackson has been doing Lamar Jackson things. So Lamar Jackson has been the favorite for the MVP. He's in the conversation this year again for MVP. I believe the candidates are, sliding back to NFL, Saquon, Josh Allen, I want to say Herbert, Lamar, and I just said his name earlier, the quarterback for Cincinnati, Joe Burrow. Burrow should win, but I have a feeling they're going to give it to Lamar Jackson. Swinging back over to the NBA talk right now, the names that have been at the table for MVP are Giannis, Joker, Shai. It's an odd thing to say, and I'm on record for talking about this numerous times, and I'm going to keep saying it. Luka keeps getting neglected at this table, and I don't know what it is, but I'm hoping within the next 5 years, Luka gets an MVP. We'll see, but I don't see it this year. Ironically, Dallas is 6th behind the Lakers, who are 5th. If you really look at it, JJ's been able to keep that ship afloat. It was a little bit of a bumpy road at one time. Of course, the Bronny talk came up. I think when I was off and on about sports, I was really talking heavy on the Bronny, and I think right now he's in the G League doing what he needs to do to get the development to prepare for the NBA. I think he'll be fine. I think he just has to get his game going. Bronny's younger brother, Bryce, committed to Arizona. Early hot take on that, too. I would not be surprised if Gilbert Arenas' son goes to Arizona as well. If he doesn't go to Arizona, I see him going to, I don't know if it's still the Pac-10 or not, or Pac-12, whatever it's called. I see him going possibly to Arizona as well. I don't know. It's either going to be Arizona or Arizona State. Reach might be UCLA. I haven't really seen or looked at his offers, so I'm not sure. Finishing out the West, Clippers, Golden State, Spurs, and Minnesota. And then kind of on that outskirt, under 500, Sacramento and Phoenix. Portland, I don't see much happening. And Utah is preparing. Utah and New Orleans are preparing for um, the upcoming draft. Plain and simple. I hope we get a better draft in the NBA. Early hot take, but we'll see. Too early to say. It's only January. There haven't really been any names. There may be some mock drafts that are out there. As time progresses, I'll look into talking about that a little bit more. But that's kind of what I'm observing and what I'm noticing so far. On the East, I mentioned it earlier. The runaway favorites, Cleveland. Only question with Cleveland is Cleveland does what Cleveland needs to do during the regular season. It becomes the playoffs where it's like, okay, what's going on? Like, what are we doing? What are we trying to do? Boston is second. New York is third. New York loves Cat. They love Karl Anthony Towns. Karl Anthony I think he's averaging a double-double. He's gotten 10 times the amount of votes as a starter, which I think that needs to get some credibility, even though we're in like the good old positionless thing again. And also we're doing a different format for the All-Star game. So if you have not heard, I'll share this real quick. The All-Star game is going to a 4-team format. So 3 of the teams will have the 24 players who are selected for the draft. And the 4th team will be from the rookies sophomores game. I know it's not called a rookie sophomores game anymore, but like between those, whoever wins in that competition will be the 4th team to play against the other 3 teams. And they're supposed to be having the analysts from TNT. They're going to be involved with the selection flow of that, which I think will be cool. So yeah, it should be fun. Orlando's 4th. This came up earlier on that same recording I was talking about earlier. It's a little bit of a question of concerns with them with health because Suggs got injured it was a non-contact play, and that definitely was a huge hit that they weren't really planning or preparing for. Right now they're building back on their win streak. As of right now, Cleveland's on a 9-game win streak. I don't see Cleveland. It's way too early. I don't see them hitting the 73-9 conversation. I think they're gonna win when they need to win. I don't want to take that for granted or take that out of the equation. But I also want to be clear that what you do in regular season looks good, but what you do during the playoffs is what's going to really be like the conversation. And I think that's going to be what needs to be observed and analyzed more than anything else, at least from my overall observation. Orlando's 4, Milwaukee's 5. This goes back, and this kind of ties into why I made the hot take comment earlier. Oklahoma City is number 1. Shy has been playing shy basketball. I don't think no one talks about this enough. I think the Clippers folded a little bit with this one. I think the Clippers made such a impulse move in trading him away and having him go to Oklahoma City. He really didn't get the chance to really show what he could do. And he's gotten to OKC and just elevated his game. He's gotten big on fashion, all that stuff. And why I'm bringing him up and talking about, because I just talked about Giannis with Milwaukee. Milwaukee is 5th, while Denver is 4th. Meanwhile, you have OKC first. The better team is the team playing ball. Why is the MVP not coming from the better team of the groups? But not my group chat, not my wheelhouse. So I'm gonna just be me and stay in my lane. These last 4 teams is where it gets fun. Atlanta's number 7. They have a core group of guys. Like even with them having I can't remember his last name, but they had the guy who was doing all the dunking and stuff. Even with him leaving, they were able to kind of build with what they had. Like Trae Young is, I didn't realize Trae Young is 26 now. Like he's gotten up there in the league in league age as I will call it. But Trae Young, Clint Capella, Jalen Johnson's been playing pretty good ball. They have the rookies been showing up. It's still an early reach. I still couldn't give you a rookie of the year yet. It's way too early. I want to see if Jared McCain makes it back by that rookie sophomore's game. Again, I know that's not what it's called, but I think that'll be fun to look forward to. So yeah, Atlanta 7, Indies 8. Will the real Tyrese Halliburton please stand up? Detroit 9, speaking of the Eminem reference. Detroit's playing good ball. They just need Isaiah Stewart to not get in. Like, he got to stop beefing with people. I don't know if y'all heard. Well, yeah, I mentioned him already. Yeah, Golden State's 8th in the West. Golden State's going through a huge transition in life after Clay. No one's talking about it, but it needs to be addressed. And also, we're looking at Father Time. Father Time is doing his job with basketball. A lot of the guys that we've seen or know or loved watching as players, they're teetering into that space of it's almost that time. We're noticing that with Phoenix because Durant ain't got much time left. Like, I think Durant's, and I'm not saying like, oh, it's over, like hang it up and let it go. It's just you don't got what you needed. It's all good. Chicago is rounding out the East at 10th. So they would be in the play-in game. And your on the cusp teams, if you wanted to say it at least right now, would probably be Philly. And I'd be reaching if I say Brooklyn. I don't think Brooklyn's done trading. They did just trade to get D'Angelo Russell back again. I made this joke with my sports group, and I can stand behind it because I would not be surprised how valid this is. But if he goes back to Minnesota or goes back to Golden State again, something's up. Something ain't making sense. And that's really the only way I can put it. Something is just not adding up in some way, shape, or form. I'm not sure how else to word it other than what I just said, but it would be very interesting to say the least. I will leave it at that. I have to look this up, but in a few weeks, Apple is doing one of their infamous keynotes. We all know they always come about. Believe this would be for their MacBook lineup, if I'm not mistaken. I think they're gonna up. I know there's been talk about if the AirPods are gonna get another uplift or facelift. And y'all know I'm an unbiased techie when it comes to this type of conversation. Do I think it's, and this is me saying this because I've been in this realm with them long enough. Get what works. This is to my iOS babies. Get what works for you, right? So, like, if you are a person who prefers to have the earbuds and you have to have the specific type of noise cancellation, I'm not mad at you. I'm not going to judge you. I'm not going to make a big scene about it. But if you can save yourself the money, get what's going to be useful in the long run to have. And I'm saying it that way only because I literally remember recommending this to someone like a couple months ago. They was like, yeah, I want to get some AirPods and I'm not sure which ones to get. And I said, I'll be 100% real with you. Do I like my noise cancellations, the ones that I have? 100%. But I also got them like at a very unique time where my older set was like, we're not wanting to work properly. So we're going to just not work. And I'm like, hey, that's what you want to do. I can't make this a complicated process. So I let them be. And I went to getting a new pair. The new pair, love them, enjoy them. value them big time. Sometimes the noise cancellation can be too good, but in the long run, it's not a must-have thing in my opinion, because you can still get the pair that has the ability to do noise cancellation and get what you need at the end of the day. No one has really made any noise about this officially, but there's talk or there's possibility that the TikTok ban is in the works to not be a thing. So we'll see on the front end when that, if where or when that's going to happen. But I don't think I've shared this on the podcast, but I want to share this with you all if you are a listener. If you are looking to, if you have videos saved on TikTok, request a copy of your data. And I'm saying that because you want to, if you're choosing that you want to get those videos that you saved and access them, you can actually request that and they'll give you a copy of those, like a link to all of the videos. I have mine. I'm probably a long ways away from where I want to be with saving videos, but I've been saving them as much as I can, because a lot of the videos, and this is, do what works for you, because some people may already have been doing this. If you want to save them and put them all on Instagram, by all means. If you think it may be more suitable to save them and put them into, like, build your YouTube channel, I'd say do that too. Find what works for you and what you're looking to do. But I just want to be clear, when 19th arrives, you want to be sure that you've gotten them off of, gotten them before you're not able to access them anymore. So after this recording, that's going to be my biggest priority to work on, is making sure that I have all of mine's pulled. I'm trying to see, like I said, I mentioned earlier about the Apple keynote or the Apple event, and maybe they just rumored it, but nothing is actually going to happen for that. So when that actually comes up, then we'll talk about it then. But I wanted to address that and address the other topics that have been going on. Again, I know I've said this before, but I'm being realistic. I will be getting better at the shares and the conversations around sports, around tech, even around music. For some reason lately, I've been getting pulled into Leon Thomas. I've been listening to a lot of Leon Thomas music. I don't, and I'm saying this to y'all because I can. The song, I'm not a believer of being, obviously, but listening to the song, I like. It's one of those I can get away with saying I like the beat, but yeah, the words are not. I don't condone the roll with, but those who are into it, if that's your thing, that's your thing.
Let's take a quick break.
For over a year, I found an accessory that has become one of my most valuable tools to use for unplugging and disconnecting. My theme for 2025 is the year of unplugging. The resource that I found to connect with this is called Brick. Their website is getbrick.app. If you look in the show notes, you will see a link where I have a promo or an affiliate link for them. I don't want to give the actual promo code only because it is subject to change. But if you click on the link, it will be updated according to what the current affiliate link is. If you want to use that link, save 10%. It will be a very helpful tool. What exactly is Brick? I'm glad you asked. It allows you to take your screen time disconnect to another level for any of my iOS users. As far as I'm aware, the developer is working to get the company who makes the brick accessory, they are looking to make this available for Android as well. But for my iOS, predominantly my iPhone users, this will help you curve your phone usage to a whole new level. The process is simple. You get the accessory. When you install the application, as soon as you install it, they're going to ask you which apps do you want to remove or not have access to. You select those apps. They give you a gray little box that has brick written on it. Once you have that, you will then, it's a button right on the app that says brick phone. Once you select that, it will automatically walk you through the steps. It'll say tap here to brick the phone. And any of the applications that are not being offered or chosen will be disconnected. The latest update for this product is why I love it more than anything else. They have now set it up so that if you use any browser, it does not matter if it's Safari, Firefox, Arc, any of those browsers, you'll be able to open the browser. But if you try to open any of the apps that you have bricked or not to be used, you won't be able to use them. That has taken my screen time to a whole different level. Before brick, I was usually on my phone 8-9 hours a day. Lately, I've been able to break my phone for less than, keeping it under almost 4 to 6 hours a day. And the average person uses their phone for quite a while if you really think about it. So check this out. The website is getbrick.app. There is a promo code. If you go in the show notes, you will see it. I also want to be clear, the show notes will show on any of the actual podcast recordings. So if you see episode and you see a number, you'll see the promo codes there. Any of my walkcasts usually will not have this code, but the link will be in any of my actual recorded casts that I'm sitting in front of the mic like I'm doing now. Thank you all for supporting, and we'll get back to the show. I'm going to close the show here, but I'm going to give you a message to walk away with. And the message I have today is to listen to your heart. Listen to the heart and pay attention to the signs. I don't remember the artist's name. It might be, I'm sitting here wanting to say Ace of Base, but I don't think that's her name. I'm not going to play this song on the show. Don't worry. I'm not that bad of a person. Oh, I was right. Go me. I had a moment. Yeah, the song's called The Sign by Ace of Base. And it fits the reality of how it is sometimes with life and with people. Whereas sometimes you need to see the sign to know what you need to do. And I had this exact conversation with my friend after our men's ministry today, where many times we see signs, but seeing signs versus acknowledging what those signs mean and following the signs are two different things. Like, you can put a sign on. I'm laughing as I share this because this is something I've seen. You can put a sign on a water fountain that says, "Do not use," out of order, and someone will still try to find a way. And when I say someone, I'm talking about adults, not just kids, adults. Someone will still try to find a way to use it. Another example, coffee. Coffee machine ain't working. Machine is currently down. We've set an incident or issue to fix it, but I need my coffee. It's not the only machine in the building, but okay. Hey, whatever floats your boat. Not here to argue, not here to fight. Just, you go for what you know. I ain't here to make nothing no more complicated than what it needs to be. But I say all that just to say, be aware in how to move and how to operate. And one thing that I've really been leaning into and really paying more attention to now than ever before is allow God to be your foundation. If any of you have been listening to my walkcast, I'm just me. I'm sharing with what I believe and how I feel. Now, I'm not sitting here, and I say this every single time, not as an obligated disclaimer, but to share reality. I am not here to be some religious buff and tell you you need to do this. And no, I have no space or no capabilities of ever intending to do such a thing, because that's just not where I'm at or how I operate. However, I also want people to find their way to get where they belong. And I'm going to give this story and then I'm going to close out the show. As I shared with you all before, I went down to Fayetteville, spent time with my friend, with her kids, with her mom. Had a good, good time, good energy, good space. Enjoyed every bit of it. Her and I had a conversation, and hopefully she's okay with me sharing this conversation. She asked me about why I was, where I was at when it came to me with like crystals and burning sage and just those different things. And I said, at that particular time, and I don't have any denial or delay about saying this, I was trying something out, trying stuff out. I won't say it was a dark space, but I will say it was an eye-opening space. And I'm not trying to cloud over the fact of it being viewed as such, but I want to share and I want to be clear that many times you gain information, but just because you gain information doesn't mean you needed to get the information when you got it. And there were a lot of things that I learned, a lot of things that I gained at that time that I really was not in a need of being rushed to gain. But now being where I'm at in life and with just overall observation, I get why I'm not as like pushy for what was provided or what comes. I shared this message online. So as many of you know, Wednesday was New Year's Day. And one of my first things that I posted on New Year's Day was, you have everything you need. And to a lot of people, I know they looked at that and was like, dang, that, like, why are you coming in like just out the blue? Like one of my friends who I personally know, she was like, dang, you just starting out the gate heavy. I was like, I mean, it's the truth. We go so many places to look for so many things, but the things that we need are right there. Like I've been for years trying to fine tune and get the podcast to move how I needed it to move. And over the last 2 or 3 years, it's just gotten to a good spot. Like now, I may do a test audio of this afterward. I've used these, like I said, I've been using these mics for almost a year. And for a while I would keep recording and I'm like, well, why do they sound good this day? And why don't sound, and I'm trying to put all these little pieces together. And I'm sitting here today and these like doing the year review podcast and doing this episode, I've paid attention to how good the audio quality is. And I was like, you have everything you need. And everything I need, literally, and this is going to sound really weird to you all because it's not a big deal, but it's a big deal because I'm one of those, I'm the audio addict or the audiophile person who's like really big on this. I just had to a microphone, a filter, a pop filter on my microphone. The pop filter, in using Adobe Audition and using the Vocaster, you literally can see, like when I don't talk, nothing. It's just nothing there. Like like I said, I've always shared, and I made this a joke ever since like season 1, 2, or 3. I always joke about there being a fan on in the background. The fan is on. You can't hear the fan because I have like the equipment has done all the work. But like literally, and I still remember because I think it was like episode 402. Jacoby came on the show My equipment came in. I kind of learned it and figured some stuff out. But keep in mind, that was like in probably March or April. And here it is now, like January of a new year. And I'm like, oh, so this is all I got to do and just set it and forget it. Boom. Golden content on the way. So all of that effort, like I was, just to give you an idea, when I get to the end of shows, like normally I got to sit here and I got to listen to everything. And I'm like, oh man, this sound like this. I need to check out the background noise, or I need to reduce this and adjust noise control. I don't have to do any of that anymore. And I'm like, Bryan, you have everything you need. So yeah, the message I'm passing along, notice the signs, be aware, and you have everything you need. I hope y'all gathered something from this show. I love y'all and I appreciate y'all. Anyone who's been rocking with me or rolling with me since the beginning, it never goes unnoticed. I want to I'm gonna give a, I don't even want to say an anonymous special shout out, because her and I've been close for like forever. Like her and I go back to like Android days. I want to give a shout out to my friend Jasmine, who has been like a really close supporter and just somebody that's been there through a fair share. And I'm not like, this ain't nothing extracurricular. It's just sometimes you want to give good people their flowers and get them their opportunity. I'll share this. I just thought about one last thing. Chicago finally did the right thing. Chicago retired Derrick Rose's jersey. Now, I'm not sure, and I guess it's me having to get specifics, because from my understanding, Rose just walked away from the game. Now, I'm not sure, like, obviously it's an official, I'm retired, I'm not playing basketball no more. Like, he even went up and said, like, I'm, doing everything on business. I don't know if I actually saw, like, them have everything set up where like I said, I didn't look at it in its entirety, whether they actually pulled down the thing and had the jersey already in the rafters and all that, but I'm glad Chicago did that. And I think what makes his retirement such a big impact is because if you think of Chicago, you think of Derrick Rose, not just the Bulls organization, but Simeon High School. Like, he was the last player, from my understanding, to wear number 25 in honor of I'm wanting to say, I was in there to say of Benji, or Ben, who played for Simeon. If you don't know that story, I would look it up. But Derrick Rose literally got his flowers. And I think that was a very positive and supportive gesture on behalf of the Bulls. What I hope they are able to do, and a lot of people have talked about this, I think there are two other players they should retire. Now, they may do it, they may not. I think they should retire Luol Deng's jersey, number 9. And I also think they should retire number 13 for Joakim Noah. Like, yes, they may not have won you a championship, but on the same token, if you think of where they were carrying the Bulls organization, with them to be able to compete with the Cavaliers the way they did with LeBron, I think even when he went to Miami, like, they held their own pretty good. Also with Rose having to bounce back from his injury. Stuff to think about. But huge shouts to him for that. I'm not going to talk any longer, because if I do, I'll keep going. But I appreciate you all. I thank you all. And until next time, this is BT signing out. Catch y'all next time. Thanks for tuning in to yet another episode. These podcasts are uploaded to Buzzsprout. If you'd like to get into using Buzzsprout, let me know. You can reach out to me at thepastbtpod@gmail.com. Also, the mic, I know I had it there where I was using the Blue Yeti X. I used it for about 3 or 4 months. And since then, the audio has bumped up a little. We're now using the Rode mic. So I'm part of the Rode family. Also using the Vocaster 2 to connect to the Rode mic. So that has become my new combination. These podcasts are available on all platforms: Buzzsprout, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, iHeartRadio, Amazon, Pandora, you name it, it's on that platform. And finally, I want to share this because I did not have an opportunity to share this last season. If you would like to give any feedback or have any thoughts to share, On this episode, you will see a link at the top that says send a message. I do check those messages, and I will be reading those if they do come up during or after the show. Thanks for tuning in. Catch y'all on the next one.